Before the illness, there was a whisper. Before the pain, there was a message. And before your body broke down, your soul had already begun to speak. This is not just a story about healing. This is a revelation about what your body has been trying to say all along. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not a victim of biology. You are the healer, and your body is your most sacred teacher. Welcome to the middle book, Break Through the Veil of Illness, the Metaphysical Root of Disease. A metaphysical journey inspired by the groundbreaking work of Dolores Cannon. Introduction. You have not come to this moment by accident. Something has called you here. A whisper, a sensation, a dissonance within your body that defies logic, or perhaps an ache in your soul that modern medicine could never name. We live in a world obsessed with symptoms. We are taught to silence pain, suppress discomfort, and ignore the signals of the body as if they are betrayals rather than messages. But what if pain is not an enemy? What if illness is not failure? What if your body, in all its intelligence, is not broken, but communicating? To see clearly, you must first dare to unsee. You must pierce the veil that has blinded humanity for centuries, the illusion that we are flesh machines ruled by random biology. You must step beyond the surface of skin and sinew and descend into the quantum core of what you truly are, a field of consciousness, vibrating with intention, shaped by memory and animated by purpose. In the teachings of Dolores Cannon, regressionist, metaphysical pioneer, and chronicler of the subconscious, we are reminded that illness is never just physical. It is a symbol, a code, a doorway. Her thousands of sessions under deep hypnosis revealed the same pattern across cultures, beliefs, and centuries. The body records what the soul has not yet resolved, and it will speak, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in screams, until the truth is heard. This is not a theory. This is an unveiling. You are about to embark on a journey into the deeper structure of disease, one that transcends pathology and touches the blueprint of creation itself. Along the way, we will explore how your thoughts sculpt your biology, how past lives echo through your cells, how the subconscious mind holds the key to spontaneous healing, and how illness may, in fact, be the soul's final attempt to wake you up. This is the metaphysical anatomy of transformation. The ancients knew this. The Egyptians inscribed it in temples. The Hindus mapped it in chakras. The shamans danced it into their bones. And now, quantum science has begun to converge with this sacred wisdom, revealing that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain. It is the architect of reality. You are not a victim of your body. You are the intelligence behind it. You are not here to fear disease. You are here to decode it. You are not meant to wage war on your flesh. You are meant to listen. Because the body never lies. It does not judge. It does not punish. It reveals. It reveals where you have silenced your truth. It reveals where love has been forgotten. It reveals where your soul is longing to be remembered. This is not a story of medicine. It is a story of remembrance, a remembrance of who you are. Why did you come? And how every cell in your being is waiting, right now, for you to hear what it has been trying to say. This is not just about healing a disease, it's about healing disconnection from yourself, from your soul, from the source. So take a breath, feel that pulse in your chest. That's not just a heartbeat, it's a signal, a message from something deeper, something infinite, and it is speaking your name. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The Holographic Body, a Mirror of Consciousness. Your body is not what it seems. What you call flesh is not solid. What you call form is not fixed. And what you call you is not singular. We have been taught to view the body as an object, a mechanical system, a fragile machine prone to error, destined to decay, and governed by biochemical chance. This belief is not only incomplete, it is the root of our collective suffering. In truth, your body is not a machine. It is a mirror, a reflection of consciousness and shaped by frequency, sculpted by perception, and interwoven with memory. It is not the source of life, but the receiver of it. And when we begin to understand this, the story of illness changes forever. The physicist David Bohm once wrote of the implicate order, a hidden underlying field from which all matter emerges. According to his view, what we perceive with the senses is only the explicate, the unfolded version of a deeper energetic code. In other words, your body is not the cause, it is the result. It is the end expression of patterns formed in consciousness. This aligns precisely with what Dolores Cannon uncovered through thousands of QHHT sessions. Clients under deep trance would describe their bodies not as isolated units, but as interactive extensions of thought, belief, and soul intention. Pain in the body was often linked to blocked energy, unresolved emotion, or unfinished lessons from other lifetimes. When those deeper roots were acknowledged, even chronic conditions would often vanish, sometimes instantly. To the subconscious, there is no separation between mind and body. They are in the same field, vibrating at different frequencies. A thought is not just a mental event, it is a wave. An emotion is not abstract, it is electromagnetic. And every organ, every tissue, every cell listens. What do your cells hear you say about yourself each day? The subconscious stores everything, every belief, every wound, every word. It is the quantum processor that receives, translates, and materializes our internal states into physical form. This is not mysticism. This is now being confirmed by science. Candace Pert, a neuropharmacologist, demonstrated that every emotion creates a biochemical signature, one that flows through the bloodstream and attaches to receptors throughout the body. In other words, you feel with your whole being. The implications are staggering. If your thoughts and emotions shape your biochemistry, and your biochemistry shapes your tissue, then your body is not a passive structure. It is a holographic canvas upon which your consciousness paints its story. And when that story becomes fragmented, when trauma is buried, truth denied, or purpose forgotten, the body responds, not to punish, but to reveal. That back pain you carry may be more than posture. That chronic fatigue may be more than an imbalance. That tightness in your chest may be more than genetics. They may be echoes of the soul trying to reach the surface. Let us shift the metaphor. Imagine your body as a projector screen, and consciousness as the film reel. When distortion appears on the screen, an illness, an injury, a breakdown, the modern approach is to scrub the screen. But metaphysics teaches us to instead check the film. The distortion is rarely in the body alone. It is in the energetic patterns, the belief loops, the emotional imprints that have not yet been cleared from the field of being. This is why many people who treat the symptom never resolve the cause. They're editing the screen, while the reel keeps playing the same scene. The body is a biofeedback system, exquisitely designed, intricately sensitive, and profoundly intelligent. It reflects not only our thoughts but our frequency, our alignment, our truth. When we betray our inner knowing, the body tightens. When we silence our truth, the throat constricts. When we carry grief we've refused to grieve, the lungs labor. This is not a coincidence. This is the metaphysical language of biology. And once we begin to learn it, to interpret the body's metaphors, we realize that healing is not something we must chase. It is something that unfolds when we remember how to listen. The mystics were right, as within, so without. But this is not just a spiritual platitude. It is a literal truth in quantum biology. The observer affects the observed. Consciousness participates in the creation of form. And the body, your body, is an ever-shifting reflection of what you hold, feel, believe, and remember. This means healing is not just possible, it is inherent. It is built into the system. The moment you realign with your soul's frequency, the body responds. The hologram begins to correct itself. The noise begins to clear. But first, you must be willing to hear what has been repressed, to feel what has been buried, to question what you've believed about your body and yourself. Because the body is never just the body. It is a mirror, a messenger, a map. and like any sacred map, it points to where you truly are and where you've yet to go. Chapter 2. The Soul's Blueprint. Why we choose our bodies and illnesses. Before the breath, before the body, before the first cry pierced the veil of birth, there was a meeting, a gathering in realms beyond time, where your soul stood not as wounded flesh, but as radiant light. And in that space, vast, eternal, and outside the bindings of linear thought, you chose. You chose the family that would sculpt your perception. You chose the challenges that would forge your strength. And in some cases, you chose the illness that would one day awaken your soul. To the human mind, this sounds impossible. Why would anyone choose to suffer? Why would a soul agree to hardship, limitation, or pain? But from the soul's perspective, the view that sees across lifetimes, patterns, and karmic tides, the answer is not cruelty. It is the curriculum. Illness is not punishment. It is often the most potent catalyst for evolution, and your soul is here to evolve. In Dolores Cannon's hypnosis sessions, clients routinely accessed the between-life state, the in-between realm where souls rest, review, and prepare for their next incarnation. Again and again, they spoke of a blueprint, a sacred plan designed in collaboration with guides, higher beings, and aspects of the higher self. In that space, nothing is random. Every relationship is a mirror, every limitation, an opportunity, every bodily struggle, a message encoded with potential. Some souls come to burn karma, to rebalance energies from lifetimes of action. Others come to teach, using illness as a living classroom to awaken compassion in others. Still others choose disease as a way to exit, a path of transition carefully timed and lovingly orchestrated. The ego resists this. It wants to find fault, place blame, and sign guilt. But the soul does not blame. It understands. It sees illness not as a tragedy, but as a design, not as defeat, but as dialogue. You are not being punished. You are being spoken to. Let us imagine the soul as an eternal traveler, weaving in and out of form, crossing dimensions, collecting experiences the way an artist collects pigment for paint. In one life, it is the warrior. In another, the wounded. In one, it learns power. In another, surrender. Each incarnation adds a layer to the soul's infinite tapestry, and sometimes a particular thread, a pain, a limitation, a deep wound is chosen intentionally as a focal point for growth. In this life, you may carry the remnants of ancient pain, not as a curse but as a sacred thread left unfinished, and the body becomes the canvas where this final chapter plays out. There are those who carry illness as a message to others. Children born with disabilities often speak under hypnosis of choosing that life so that others, parents, siblings, doctors, might awaken compassion, patience, or faith. Others describe choosing cancer, not to die but to transform, to finally leave behind the persona that was no longer serving them, to burn away falsehood through the fire of crisis. And some rare luminous ones choose terminal illness as a kind of final lesson, not for themselves but for the world. To show how even death can be dignified, conscious, and sacred. This does not make it easy. The human self still grieves, still suffers, but the soul watches with profound understanding, always whispering, "You are not this pain. You are the one who chose to meet it and transcend it." Dolores Cannon often spoke of the volunteers, souls who incarnated during this time of Earth's transition to help raise the frequency of the planet. Many of these souls had never been to Earth before. They carried no karma, no past lives of violence or greed. And yet, they still experienced illness. Why? Because being in a dense, emotional, polarized realm like Earth takes a toll. Even high-frequency beings, when submerged in this dimension, can absorb fear, shame, and trauma. And the body, faithful mirror that it is, reflects that distortion until it is cleared. But here's the secret. Nothing is set in stone. Even if the soul chose a particular illness as part of the blueprint, that choice can be revised when the lesson is learned. The contract can be rewritten, the experience transcended. You are not condemned by your past, not even by the past of other lifetimes. The moment you remember who you are, a conscious being, eternal and sovereign, the illusion of powerlessness begins to dissolve. So ask yourself, what might my soul be trying to show me through this pain? What have I refused to feel, to forgive, to face? What part of me has been waiting for my attention and used the body to finally get it? This is not about guilt. This is about responsibility. The sacred kind, the liberating kind, the kind that reclaims your place as co-creator of your experience. When you see your body as a partner in your soul's evolution, everything changes. The diagnosis becomes a dialogue. The pain becomes a portal, and the body becomes the teacher you never knew you had. In the next chapter, we will step even deeper into the subconscious realm, where the true voice of your soul resides, the keeper of memories, the architect of healing, and the bridge between your biology and your divinity. Because beneath your conscious thoughts, something ancient is listening, and it remembers everything. Chapter 3. The Subconscious Realm, Gatekeeper of Healing. There is a voice inside you that remembers everything, not just the moment you were born, but the lifetimes before that. Not just the words you've spoken, but the emotions you've buried. Not just your memories in this world, but your echoes across dimensions. This voice does not shout, it does not argue, it does not panic, it waits, quietly, patiently. It is the architect of your biology, the keeper of your soul's blueprint, the bridge between your spirit and your cells. Dolores Cannon called it the subconscious, though she often emphasized it was far beyond what we typically mean by that word. It is not simply the part of the mind that stores forgotten thoughts. It is the superconscious, the higher intelligence within you that can answer any question, access any memory, and initiate instant healing, if you are ready to receive it. In her groundbreaking quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT, Dolores brought thousands of people into deep trance states, far beyond the beta waves of waking life, past the subconscious programming of daily thoughts, and into the theta realm, where the veil thins and the true self begins to speak. It was there that people connected to this immense intelligence, an inner voice that spoke with calm authority, infinite knowledge, and profound compassion. It answered questions not just about the body, but about the soul's journey, life's purpose, karmic contracts, and forgotten trauma. And perhaps most stunningly, it healed. Physical ailments that had persisted for years vanished in moments. Allergies disappeared, chronic pain dissolved, tumors shrank, internal organs realigned, but only when the root cause, the energetic, emotional, or karmic origin, was uncovered and acknowledged. Because healing, at this level, is not adding something. It is removing the blockages to what already is. Your body knows how to heal. Your soul knows what needs to change. The subconscious is the translator between the two. So what is this realm? What is this field of consciousness that can scan the body, shift timelines, and rewrite energetic patterns? It is you, the real you, the you that exists beyond ego, beyond story, beyond identity. In brain science, we know that only about 5% of our cognitive activity is conscious. The other 95% is automatic, programmed, and stored deep within the subconscious mind. This is where trauma lives, where beliefs crystallize, where fears hide, and it is also where healing begins. Why? Because the body listens to the subconscious, not the ego. You can say, "I am healthy," 1,000 times a day. But if your subconscious still believes you are unworthy, unsafe, or destined to suffer, your biology will respond to that belief instead. It is like trying to repaint a wall while the original blueprint keeps redrawing the old design. Real healing means updating the blueprint, and to do that, you must enter the hidden room where it lives. This is why talk therapy often reaches a ceiling. The conscious mind can understand, even intellectualize trauma, but it cannot rewire it unless the emotional charge stored in the subconscious is released. The body holds on to pain until the lesson is received. The subconscious protects the memory until you are ready to face it. And when you go into the root, feel it fully, name it honestly, and bring it into awareness, the body no longer needs to carry it. This is not a miracle. It is a natural law. Every disease is a signal, a message from the subconscious to the conscious mind. Something must be seen, something must be felt, something must be changed. And when the message is received, the signal is no longer needed. You may wonder, if this power is within me, why can't I access it? You can, but it requires surrender, not weakness, but openness. You cannot hear the subconscious through noise. You must slow down, drop in, breathe deeper than the surface. Meditation, hypnosis, breathwork, silence, sacred ceremony, these are not spiritual trends. They are ancient technologies designed to quiet the ego long enough for the soul to speak. And when it does, you will know. Because the voice of the subconscious is not afraid, it is not confused, it is not uncertain. It speaks with the resonance of truth, clear, direct, and eternal. Dolores often asked the subconscious one final question in her sessions: can healing occur? And almost always, the answer was the same: yes, if the person truly wants it. That is the hidden key. You must want to be well, not just consciously but subconsciously. Some people are unconsciously attached to illness. It has become their identity, their excuse, their protection, their way of receiving love. And the subconscious, always loyal, will not let go until the belief is changed. So healing requires not just treatment, but truth. You must ask, what am I gaining from holding on to this pain? Who would I be if I no longer carried this illness? What would I have to face, forgive, or release in order to be free? These are not easy questions, but they are sacred ones, and they open the door to a realm where healing is not a miracle. It is your birthright. In the next chapter, we go further still beyond this life into the past life echoes that may still be reverberating in your body today. Because sometimes the root of your suffering is not found in this lifetime, but in one you've already lived, and your body still remembers. Chapter 4: Cellular Memory and Past Life Residue. There are memories inside you that you have never lived, at least not in this lifetime. They are not from your childhood, not from your teenage years, not even from the first time you heard your name. And yet, they linger. In the heaviness you feel without cause, in the instinctive fears that make no sense, in the pain that never fully heals, no matter how many tests you take. Your body remembers everything, even what your conscious mind has forgotten. Across Dolores Cannon's decades of work, there was one recurring revelation that broke the boundary of conventional healing. The past does not stay in the past. Clients would come with chronic pain, unexplained illnesses, or emotional blocks. But under deep hypnosis, they would begin speaking, sometimes in languages they had never learned, and describe lives lived in other times, other lands, other bodies. One man experienced lifelong knee pain. In trance, he recalled a life as a soldier who died from an arrow to the knee. A woman with chronic throat issues remembered being silenced and executed in a previous life for speaking forbidden truths. Another, plagued by an unshakable fear of water, saw herself drowning in a shipwreck centuries ago. In each case, once the origin was uncovered and acknowledged, something profound happened. The pain subsided, or vanished altogether. Because the body is not a linear machine, it is a multi-dimensional recorder carrying echoes from across space and time. Modern science is just beginning to catch up with what mystics and metaphysicians have long known. Memory is not only stored in the brain, it is stored in the body, within the cells, the fascia, and the energetic field that surrounds you. This is called cellular memory. Trauma, particularly when unprocessed, leaves an imprint, a signature that lingers like an energetic scar. And these imprints can be inherited, absorbed, or carried forward across incarnations, especially if the emotional charge of the event was never resolved. Just as DNA can carry physical traits, your soul's energetic field can carry experiential residues, and your current life becomes the stage where they re-emerge, seeking closure. From a metaphysical standpoint, you are not a single person. You are a soul thread, stretched across lifetimes, weaving in and out of form. What happens in one life reverberates into the next, not as punishment, but as a pattern. If a lesson was left incomplete, it will present itself again. If forgiveness is denied, it will return in a new face. If trauma was buried, the body will resurrect it again and again until it is seen, honored, and released. Your symptoms are not random. They are soul fragments surfacing for resolution, and your body, in its infinite wisdom, is the bridge through which these forgotten lifetimes speak. Let's take a deeper example. A woman suffers from infertility. All medical tests are normal. Emotionally, she longs to be a mother, but something blocks her. Under hypnosis, she recalls a past life during a war. She was a mother in that life too, and lost all of her children in a single night. The grief was unbearable. She died with the belief, it's too dangerous to love like that again. That belief, carried in her energetic field, now expresses as a physical block. Not because she is broken, but because her body is protecting her from repeating a soul-level wound. Once this memory is uncovered, and the pain is honored, not repressed, not bypassed, but truly felt, the body no longer needs to hold the barrier. Healing begins. Conception becomes possible. Because the energetic imprint has been released. This is not magic. It is metaphysics. It is quantum resonance. It is emotional alchemy. All human experience is connected by a field of archetypal memory that Carl Jung referred to as the collective unconscious. However, far more profound is the personal unconscious, which is your soul's storehouse of experience, kept not only in your cells, but also in your psyche. For this reason, healing needs to transcend the conscious mind. Nothing can really fix what the soul is still carrying, not even a medicine, an affirmation, or surgery. Until you access the origin of the wound, wherever or whenever it began, the pattern will remain. It may change forms, it may move from one part of the body to another, but it will not leave until it is understood. Because pain is not a malfunction, it is a messenger, and sometimes it's been trying to reach you for centuries. So how do you begin? Start by listening to your pain, not fighting it. Ask, where have I felt this before? And allow images, feelings, or memories to arise. Notice repetitive life patterns, relationships, emotions, or themes that seem familiar, as if scripted from somewhere else. Seek states of consciousness where the veil thins. Hypnosis, deep meditation, dream work, breath work. These are bridges to the soul's deeper timeline, and most of all, trust what comes. It may not make rational sense, it may not fit the frameworks you've been taught, but if it resonates in your bones, if it stirs something ancient inside you, then it is yours to feel, and ultimately yours to heal. Remember, your body is not betraying you, it is revealing you. Not just the you that was born in this lifetime, but the infinite you that has walked countless paths and is now ready to be whole. In the next chapter, we turn to something more immediate, the frequency of your emotions. Because healing does not depend only on the past, it depends on the vibration you live in now, and every emotion is a frequency. Chapter 5. The emotional frequency of disease. Everything is energy. Your thoughts, your breath, your heartbeat, your tears. Your body, though it may seem solid, is nothing more than vibrating atoms held together by intention. A shimmering field of frequency shaped into form. And every emotion you feel is a note in that field, vibrating through your cells like music through the strings of an instrument. Some notes heal, others distort, but all are powerful. To understand illness, you must understand emotion not as a fleeting mood, but as energetic architecture. Because your emotions, especially those you resist, suppress, or deny, are the frequencies that sculpt your biology. Neuroscientist and pharmacologist Dr. Candace Pert found in the 1970s that the body contains receptors for neuropeptides, which are biochemical mediators of emotion, not only in the brain, but also throughout the body. Emotion affects every tissue, organ, and even the immune system. You use your whole body to think. And the body stores what you don't want to feel. sadness, anger, shame, betrayal, and guilt. These sensations are more than just psychological. They are compounds that are energetic. Additionally, like all things, they take up space, frequently in the organs, joints, and tissues that most nearly match their frequency. There is no metaphor here. It is spiritual medication. In metaphysical anatomy, a map of emotional energetic correspondences long known to mystics and healers, certain emotions tend to anchor in specific parts of the body. Grief in the lungs, anger in the liver, fear in the kidneys, guilt in the lower back and reproductive organs, shame in the stomach and gut, lack of support in the spine and knees, inability to speak one's truth in the throat, feeling unloved or unworthy in the heart. When these emotions are felt, honored, and moved through, the energy flows freely. But when they are resisted, when we stuff them down, ignore them, or pretend they're not there, they become density. And the body, ever faithful, holds them for us, until we're ready to let them go. Dolores Cannon encountered case after case where chronic illness was not the result of external factors, but of emotional stagnation, unresolved pain that had no voice, no exit, and eventually took refuge in the body. One client with lifelong digestive issues discovered, in trance, that she had never expressed her grief after her child's death. She believed she had to stay strong, but the grief turned inward, tightening her gut like a vice. Once she allowed herself to feel truly fully, the pain began to release. Another man with chronic migraines realized he had spent decades suppressing his anger toward an abusive father. He had rationalized it, spiritualized it, numbed it, but never expressed it. The moment he screamed, cried, and allowed, his body exhaled for the first time in years. The headaches stopped, because emotion is energy in motion until it's not. And when it's not, it crystallizes. What doesn't move hardens. What hardens blocks. And what blocks eventually breaks. But here's the miracle. Emotion, once acknowledged, is incredibly intelligent. It doesn't want to hurt you, it only wants to be seen. And the moment you turn toward your pain, not as an enemy, but as a messenger, you step into your healing. Ask yourself, what emotion have I been avoiding? Where in my body do I feel tight, heavy, or numb? What is that part of me trying to say? Sometimes the body will whisper, other times it will scream. But it always speaks, and every symptom is a conversation you're finally ready to have. Dr. David Hawkins, in his work on the map of consciousness, measured the vibrational frequency of emotions. His findings revealed that emotions like shame, guilt, and fear vibrate at low frequencies, states that weaken the body and create incoherence in the energy field. On the other hand, love, joy, peace, and forgiveness radiate at high frequencies, strengthening the immune system, regulating the nervous system, and promoting healing on a cellular level. This is not spiritual poetry. This is energetic physiology. You are not just healing your body, you are recalibrating your frequency. And when you change your frequency, you change your chemistry, you change your structure, you change your life. But healing is not about forcing yourself into joy. It is about creating space for the full spectrum of your emotional truth. You cannot bypass anger with forgiveness. You cannot leapfrog over grief into peace. You must move through the rage, through the tears, through the trembling, the shaking, the sacred release. Only then can you rise. Only then does the emotion complete its cycle and return to light. This is the forgotten medicine of the soul. To feel deeply, to listen honestly, to express fully, to release intentionally. Because every emotion is a frequency, and you are a conductor. And when you align your vibration with your truth, not a false positivity, but a raw, real, radiant truth, the body responds. The disease unravels, the symptoms soften, the veil lifts, because what you were carrying was never yours to keep. In the next chapter, we'll explore what happens when time itself becomes fluid, when healing transcends the linear model and enters the quantum field. Because healing doesn't just happen now. It can ripple backward, it can echo forward, it can occur across time, and your consciousness is the key. Chapter 6. Time, Trauma, and the Illusion of Linearity. Time as we know it is a construct, a scaffolding the mind clings to, a convenient illusion that gives the soul a stage on which to unfold its lessons, one scene after the other. But time is not linear, it never was. And healing, true healing, does not obey the clock. In the realm of spirit, there is no past, no present, no future. There is only frequency. There is only now. And in that eternal now, all things, all wounds, all lifetimes, all timelines coexist and can be touched, transformed, and transmuted from this single sacred moment. Einstein said it simply: the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. And he was right. In quantum physics, we now know that particles separated by vast distances can influence one another instantly, a phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. This suggests that distance, like time, is not absolute. It is pliable, relational, a function of consciousness, not fixed space. So what happens when we apply this to healing? We discover that trauma, no matter when it occurred, is not sealed in the past. It is still happening inside you energetically, emotionally, somatically, until the charge is cleared. And more importantly, it can be healed now. Not because you go backward, but because there is no backward. Dolores Cannon's QHHT sessions revealed this truth time and again. Under deep trance, clients accessed what they thought were past lives, but often described them as happening concurrently with this one. They spoke in the present tense. They experienced emotions and body sensations in real time. And when healing occurred in one timeline, the effects rippled into the present, altering physical and emotional patterns instantly. Because time is not a straight line. It is a spiral, a living field of intersecting moments, all accessible from the right state of awareness. When you access the root trauma, whether from childhood, ancestry, or other lives, and reprocess it in the light of new awareness, you do not merely reframe a memory. You change the field. You collapse the loop. You send a new signal backward through the spiral, and the energy updates forward into now. This is not a metaphor. It is a quantum reality. When trauma is frozen in the nervous system, the body remains in a loop of survival, constantly scanning for the threat that once was, unable to distinguish the past from the present. This is why some people live in chronic tension, pain, or anxiety, even when their lives seem safe. Their bodies are still reliving something the conscious mind has long forgotten. But the body does not forget. The subconscious does not forget. And time in this sense is not a barrier, it is a doorway. Through regression, meditation, breathwork, or spiritual inquiry, you can step outside the illusion of time and enter the moment when the wound began. And when you bring compassion, clarity, and consciousness to that moment, it shifts. The inner child exhales. The past life self forgives. The karmic loop dissolves. And the present-day body? It no longer needs to carry the signal. The pain releases. The illness softens. The timeline realigns. Some call this quantum healing. Some call it timeline integration. But beneath all terminology is this truth. Consciousness is not bound by time, and neither is healing. You are not the product of a fixed history. You are the conscious architect of how your past expresses in your now. The moment you realize this, the victim's story falls away. You are not at the mercy of your memories. You are the author. You can rewrite. You can reclaim. So ask yourself, where does my body feel stuck in time? What moment, whether mine or inherited, has not yet been witnessed? If time is fluid, what is my soul asking me to revisit, reframe, or release? Sometimes healing happens in the most unexpected direction, not forward, but inward. Not through logic, but through remembrance. Not through effort, but through surrender. You are not linear. You are multidimensional. Your soul is layered, vast, ancient, and entirely accessible from within. The symptoms you carry may not be from this life or even this body. But the solution always begins here, now, with your attention. Because when you shift consciousness, you shift the code, And when the code shifts, the illusion of time collapses, and what you once thought unchangeable becomes light. In the next chapter, we explore the most radical shift of all, that healing isn't always about adding something, but about releasing the identity built around the illness. Because sometimes, to truly heal, you must let go of the person who was sick. Chapter 7. Breaking the Contract. How awareness dissolves suffering. What if healing isn't about fixing the body, but about remembering who you are beyond it? What if the illness, the pain, the story of your suffering was never meant to be permanent, but to awaken you to something you've forgotten? And what if the moment you remember, the contract dissolves, and the body no longer needs to carry the message? Every experience you live is connected to choice. Not always conscious, not always visible, but rooted in agreements your soul made long before you took your first breath. We call them soul contracts, those invisible threads that weave together people, places, challenges, and yes, even illness. They are not punishments, they are permissions. Agreements made from a higher perspective, to experience what the soul could not learn through ease alone. Dolores Cannon often described how, under hypnosis, clients would discover that their suffering had a purpose, that they had agreed to experience an illness, a limitation, or a painful journey, for growth, for service, or to awaken others through their path. But these contracts were never meant to be life sentences. They were lessons, and once the lesson is learned, once the awareness emerges, the contract can be released, because awareness is the dissolver of karma. Here's what that means. When you are no longer unconscious in the pattern, when you no longer identify as the victim, when you no longer need the pain to keep you alert, the pattern loses its charge. You don't need the illness to get love. You don't need the trauma to feel real. You don't need the pain to feel safe. And in that moment, when the story begins to unravel, the energy tied to the illness begins to release. So ask yourself, who am I without this pain? What identity have I built around this wound? What might I lose as if I suddenly healed? These are not easy questions, because often suffering becomes familiar. It becomes armor. It becomes a container we carry not just in the body, but in the psyche. It shapes how others see us. It shapes how we see ourselves. And sometimes it becomes who we think we are. But your soul is not here to live inside that identity. It is here to wake up, to remember its sovereignty, its wholeness, its radiance. And when that remembrance takes root, you no longer serve the contract, you break it. In one of Dolores's most powerful sessions, a woman who had suffered decades of fibromyalgia uncovered a deep contract to carry the emotional pain of her mother. She had taken it on, out of love, out of guilt, out of unconscious agreement. But it was never hers. And once she recognized this, not just intellectually but viscerally, she broke the contract in trance. She forgave, she returned the energy, and she walked away from that session pain-free, because contracts dissolve in the light of truth, not force, not struggle, just the truth. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your history. You are not even your body. You are the witness behind it all. And the moment you stop identifying with the pattern, you stop feeding it. When you no longer say, my illness, when you stop wrapping your identity around your wound, when you allow yourself to grieve who you were and open to who you truly are, the story ends, the cycle breaks, and the body follows. Sometimes healing is not about what you gain. It's about what you're willing to release. The need to be right, the need to be seen as strong, the belief that you're broken, the belief that it's too late, the fear that without your pain, you won't know who you are. But what if, without your pain, are you finally free? The truth is, healing is not the destination. Awareness is. Because when you become aware, you become free. And when you are free, the energy that held the illness, the tension, the fear, the memory, has nowhere left to live. And so it leaves. In the next chapter, we return to the body, but with new eyes. Because the body you inhabit now It is no longer the battlefield of suffering. It is the oracle of your awakening. And when you learn to listen, you will find that it has been guiding you home all along. Chapter 8. The Body as Oracle. Listening to the Soul Through Pain. What if your pain was never trying to hurt you, but trying to guide you? What if every ache, every contraction, every symptom, was it not a malfunction, but a message? The body is not a machine, it is a sacred messenger, a living oracle that translates the language of the soul into sensation. And when the soul is ignored, the body speaks louder. In the ancient world, the body was not separate from the spirit. The temple of Delphi bore the inscription, "Know thyself." Not just your thoughts, your ambitions, or your fears, but the body is a map of your inner terrain. The Taoists called the body the microcosm of the universe. Ayurvedic medicine saw organs as repositories of karma and emotion. Even in early Christian mysticism, illness was seen as a spiritual signpost, an invitation to return to the soul's alignment. We have forgotten this. In our modern quest to dominate the body, we have stopped listening to it, we anesthetize it, we shame it, we push through it. But we rarely sit with it and ask, "What are you trying to show me?" Dolores Cannon's work revealed time and again, the moment someone truly listened to their body's message, without judgment, without resistance, the body responded. Because the body doesn't need perfection, it needs presence. Let us be clear, the body does not betray you, it is not the enemy. It does not attack for no reason. It is the most loyal companion you have ever had. It carries your burdens. It absorbs your unspoken grief. It shields your traumas. It reflects your beliefs. And when it hurts, it is not seeking vengeance. It is asking you to come home. Let's look deeper. A throat that tightens whenever you want to speak might be holding years of silenced truth. A gut that knots with every decision might be begging you to trust your instincts. A heart that races for no reason might be trying to remind you of an old fear still unhealed. Your pain is intelligent. It is a map, a feedback loop from the depths of your being, not just chemical, but cosmic. And once you begin to listen, truly listen, you will hear what lies beneath the noise. Try this. Instead of saying, "I hate this pain," say, "What are you showing me?" Instead of saying, "I want this to stop," say, "I'm willing to listen." Instead of suppressing the symptom, open a dialogue. Where are you? What do you need? What truth am I not living? Sit with it, not as a patient, but as a pilgrim, not as a victim, but as a student of your soul. You might be surprised by what emerges. Your body speaks through more than just illness. It speaks through fatigue that arises when your energy is misaligned. Tension builds when you betray your intuition. Restlessness occurs when you ignore your creative force. Inflammation occurs when you hold on to rage. Weakness occurs when your boundaries are violated. These are not just biological events. They are metaphysical communications, a multidimensional conversation between your conscious mind and your deeper self. Your symptoms are symptoms, your sensations are scriptures, and your body is the sacred text. But to read it, you must slow down, you must feel, you must become still enough to hear the whisper behind the scream. Pain is not always meant to be solved. It is meant to be felt, understood, and integrated. And once the lesson is complete, the messenger is no longer needed. The body relaxes. The symptom recedes. The soul breathes again. When people say, "I don't know what to do," it's often because they haven't asked their body, because the body knows. It remembers what the mind has forgotten. It sees what the eyes cannot. It's not just a vessel. It's an instrument, finely tuned to the truth of your being. And like any instrument, it can be played out of tune. But with care, awareness, and alignment, it becomes a channel, a bridge, a conduit for consciousness. So the next time your body aches, don't curse it. Sit beside it, breathe with it, honor it, ask it what it needs. Then listen, without an agenda. Just listen. You may find that the pain softens, not because you fixed it, but because you finally understood it. And what is understood transforms. In the next chapter, we rise. Because you are not meant to be a passive recipient of healing. You are the healer. You are the alchemist. And when you reclaim that truth, your body becomes the sacred ground of miracles. Chapter 9. Becoming the healer. Reclaiming your role as conscious creator. You were never meant to give your power away. Not to doctors, not to diagnose, not to systems that treat symptoms, but ignore the soul. You came here with a medicine inside you, a light, a knowing, a frequency that when remembered becomes your greatest healing force. You are not here to be healed. You are here to become the healer. For too long, we have been conditioned to look outward. We hand over authority to white coats and grey walls, to machines and prescriptions, all while forgetting that the true source of healing does not live outside of us, but within. The healer was never a role. It was a state of being, and you were born into it. From the moment your soul entered this body, you carried the codes of regeneration. Your cells knew how to repair. Your heart knew how to harmonize. Your subconscious knew how to guide you back into alignment. But somewhere along the path you were taught to forget, to doubt, to separate. And healing became something you begged for, rather than something you embodied. Dolores Cannon reminded us, the subconscious, the higher self, will always answer when asked with sincerity, and it will always heal when the soul is ready. But readiness is not a passive state. It is a decision. It is the moment when you say, I am no longer waiting for someone else to save me. I choose to feel, to confront, to transform. I accept that I am the one I've been searching for. That is the moment the healer awakens, not as a profession, as a presence. So, how do you reclaim this inner authority? Not by force, not by pretending you are invincible, but by becoming radically honest about what your body, your life, and your soul are asking of you. To reclaim your role as healer is to ask, where have I given my power away? What am I still waiting for permission to feel? What would it look like to fully trust my own inner wisdom? It means turning your attention inward, not to escape the world, but to engage with it from a place of deep alignment. It means learning the language of your body, the vibration of your emotions, the architecture of your thoughts. It means becoming sovereign in your own frequency. You are the alchemist, the one who can take shame and transmute it into compassion, the one who can take grief and refine it into wisdom, the one who can turn pain into a portal and walk through it into power. This is what the mystics meant when they said, "Physician, heal thyself." They didn't mean don't ask for help. They meant remember who you are before you ask. Because when you remember, you no longer collapse into victimhood. You rise into authorship. You speak to your body with reverence. You treat your symptoms as sacred signals. You align your life with the truth of your soul. And in doing so, you create the conditions in which healing becomes inevitable. Healing is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of wholeness. And wholeness is your natural state, not something you earn, but something you return to when the illusions fall away. You do not need to fix yourself. You need to uncover yourself. And when you do, you become medicine for the world, because your presence, grounded, honest, awakened, becomes a frequency. And that frequency ripples out through your words, your choices, your very energy. You do not have to be perfect to be powerful. You do not have to be free from pain to carry light. You do not have to wait until you are healed to begin. You are the healer when you say, yes, I am willing. Yes to the shadow. Yes to the truth. Yes to the path of remembering. And that, yes, changes everything. In the final chapter, we arrive not at a conclusion, but at a convergence, a moment of synthesis, where all the pieces return to wholeness, and the body is no longer something to fear, but a sacred vessel of your awakening. The veil is lifting, and you, are you the one pulling it back? Conclusion. Beyond the illusion of illness, a new paradigm of being. You have come a long way, not through miles, but through layers. Layers of illusion, layers of identity, layers of inherited fear and forgotten truth. And now, Something within you is shifting. A soft exhale from the soul, a recognition that what you have called illness may never have been an enemy, but a guide. What if the pain was never asking to be cured, but to be understood? What if the illness was never a punishment, but a portal, a sacred invitation to awaken from the trance of separation, to return to the ancient knowing that your body, your mind, your soul are not divided things, but expressions of the same eternal field. You were never broken. You were always becoming. The veil between spirit and matter is thinner than you were told. Your body is not clay. It is consciousness. Every cell is listening. Every organ reflects. Every symptom a sacred telegram from your deeper self. And now you know how to read them. You know that. Disease is not just physical. It is symbolic. Time is not linear. Healing can ripple in all directions. Emotion is not weakness, it is frequency. Pain is not punishment. It is communication. Healing is not external. It is a function of consciousness. And you are not just a patient. You are the healer. You are the one who feels, the one who listens, the one who transforms the wound into wisdom and the symptom into a signal of awakening. You no longer need to beg the body for silence. You honor it for its voice. You no longer fight the pain as a curse. You approach it as a teacher, and you no longer wait for someone else to rescue you. You reclaim your role as co-creator of your experience, a quantum architect of your biology, a sacred steward of your soul's evolution. This is the new paradigm of healing. Not fixing, but listening. Not chasing, but remembering. Not escaping the body, but coming home to it, fully, tenderly, completely. From this moment forward, may you live differently. May you walk in reverence with your body. May you treat every symptom as a mirror of meaning. May you make space for every emotion that rises, not as noise but as guidance. And may you know with every cell that the power to heal is not reserved for the few, but lies within you, always has, always will. You are not alone in your pain. You are not forgotten in your struggle. You are not broken in your process. You are awakening, you are remembering, you are healing, not in a future far from here, but now. Because the veil is lifting, the illusion is dissolving, and your soul is ready. Welcome to the truth. Welcome to the body's wisdom. Welcome to the sacred path beyond the illusion of illness.